Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel today. My name is Carly.
And I'm Kim.
And today we're going to be reviewing the 2 to 6 player game Faraway from Pandasaurus Games. How do I even describe what this game is? It's I truly don't even know how to describe what you do in it. Is it tableau building? It's like backwards tableau building.
Yes. I was just like, read the story. Beyond the sea of mist lies Alula, a mysterious continent, a peaceful haven where harmonious nature reigns. The only way one can master Alula is by walking it time and again to make one's own atlas. Travel this ever-changing world and discover its wonders, meet its inhabitants, unveil its secrets, and gain more fame than your competitors. So the idea of like it scoring backwards is like you're mapping it out. That's what you're doing.
Is you're mapping?
You're mapping it out. You're mapping out the land of Alula, and then you have to travel back to like finish mapping it out.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So this is a brand new game from Pandasaurus Games, and truthfully, this is one that is it's a tricky one to explain. And it does take you, when Kim brought this over and started explaining it to me, you said, Carly, we need to play one round, and then by the end of that round, it'll make sense. Yes. And I said, okay, I'm sure I'll get it though. And I started playing, and I was like, this makes no sense. And then Kim was right. By the end of it, I was like, oh, okay, I've got it now. Let's wrap it up and play it again. So because this is a confusing one, we're not actually going to go into like a kind of overview how to play like I normally do. We're just going to kind of generally explain how the game plays and kind of play a few rounds, like a mock round.
Yeah, if you watched her trio review, if you haven't, go watch that. She and Addie did kind of a little like mini gameplay, so that's what we're gonna do here.
So in the game, you will be holding cards in your hands, and these cards you will be laying down in front of you into your own personal tableau. Well, after you do that, after you play out its 8 cards into your tableau.
So I have a tableau
right here.
Set out here.
Then you will actually go backwards from the way that you laid them, and you will activate them. So it's not like you're moving forward and activating as you go. You'll be laying cards down and then activating backwards.
Yes.
So again, let's go through and just kind of show how that goes. Why don't you start?
So we both pick a card simultaneously to place face down into our tableau. Okay, then we reveal
at the same time.
The same time, and whoever has the lowest number gets to pick from the pool of cards.
So I had the lowest number. I had an 18.
And I have a 59. And thematically, it's supposed to represent the amount of time needed to explore that location.
It's basically just numbers.
It's just numbers.
Okay, so I get a pick.
Yes.
So I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to add it to my hand.
And then I get to pick one, and I am going to pick based off of what I have in my hand. I will go for this big, bold one. So these are quests. And in order to reach those points there, I have to have this many symbols of the rock, the Udu symbol. I'm gonna have to have 5 of these potentially available
in order to
score this 24 points
at the end of the game.
So these are called the quests here. And then the other one just gets discarded for the rest of the game. Okay, then we do it again like that. Reveal the next 3. Pick a card to now play. And I am gonna
flip it over.
Okay, so I played the one that I just picked up, and I played that
one that I picked up.
So she still has a lower number, 60, so she'll get to pick first. But the thing that happens now is if you play a card that is higher than the previous number that you played. So I played 68. 68 is higher than 59. And Carly played a 60, which is higher than 18. When you play a card that is higher than your previous one playing, you get to draw these cool sanctuary cards. And she gets to draw 2, because you get to draw a bonus one for every map that you have.
So I can pick one.
Yep.
They help count for lands for you,
yes.
And also sometimes scoring. They help with additional scoring.
At the end of the game, you'll have 8 cards, and then to score, you'll flip everything over and you'll score them one by one backwards. But your sanctuaries, they are always available to you. Okay?
So I picked the lower one, So I get to, or I have a lower number, so I get to be pick the next one again. So I'm gonna pick this one.
And I get to pick a card, and I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. And then this one just goes out. Okay. And then you would add your sanctuary card, the one that you picked out.
We're just gonna lay down one more card, and then we're gonna kind of mock show you what happens in regards to scoring. So I picked my final card. Pretend we have 8 cards now in front of us.
All right.
We flip it over. And now what happens is we're just pretending that we have 8.
Okay.
So everything gets flipped over in the order that you placed it. And then slowly you will unflip your cards and work backwards and score up. So you're scoring backwards from the way that you placed. So we would flip over our first one. And for example, this one, I have to have it. The requirement is I have to have 2 of like the antler people in front of this card. The Okiko in order to score these points, which I don't, so I lose out on that card.
Yeah, and I also need 2, which I don't have. So this scores means nothing.
So then you flip over your next one, and now you rescore up again. And you will do that working backwards, slowly unflipping cards, and then rescoring basically your entire row. And as that changes, you will be able to kind of potentially score more and more points as the more cards that you unflip. So I really hope that doesn't confuse you. This is one that, like I mentioned before, the first time I played, I was completely lost. And when Kim explained it, I was completely lost. This is kind of one of those games where you just need to play. And then literally at the end, you're like, oh, yes, I get it now. I'll try again and I'll try to do better. So having said that, please forgive the chaotic explanation.
Sorry.
I really wanted to do a review on this game because this is a hot game right now. I've heard a lot about this game. I believe it is on Board Game Arena now.
Yeah, it is.
And so when Kim got it, I was like, yes, let's play it. I love playing all the hot games. I love playing all the new games. But so Kim, what are your thoughts on Faraway? Let's start about the stuff that you enjoy about this game.
For one thing, the cover sold me.
Kim just saw the cover and she's like, add 2 cards.
Yeah, that's true. I was on Fordlandia, and I was looking at their games, and they were doing like free shipping or with a $35 purchase, and I'm like, okay. I was getting the White Castle. I got that one. So I was purchasing that game, but I wasn't quite because that game was also on sale, but I wasn't quite at the threshold, and they suggested this one. I was like, ooh, look at the artwork. It's so fun looking. And then I was reading about it, so I like bought it before I even knew even too much about it. But based off of the description alone, I was like, I think I'll really like it, because it talked about this puzzle of it being like you're laying out cards, and you have the way that you lay out the cards, you score points, and you have to try to like make those connections. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a game that's right up my alley. And I know myself because I was right. I was like, okay, I can trust that I will like it, and I did. Good. So that's my initial first impressions about that. The artwork sold me.
I love the artwork on the little. Are all the cards different? Like the people? I feel like they're all different.
Yeah,
At least I haven't
are.
seen like a duplicate person. I love the little people. They're so cute.
I know.
My favorite guy was this guy right here. That has like the creepy mask. It's my favorite. I really like the artwork in this game.
And like, I don't necessarily, well, I guess maybe that's things we don't dislike. We're not there yet. I was gonna say, I don't know if the theme comes out super strongly in the actual gameplay, but it's still fun for me to think about that theme while I'm playing it. The thing that I think was a little confusing at first, and I wasn't sure was a pro, but I decided I do like, is that the colors of the places don't actually coincide with what you would think are, because like the blue is not waters and rivers. The blue is
mountains, right?
Yeah, it's like the rocky landscape. The red are mushroom forests, and the green is the rivers. And so it's just like it played with my head a little bit in terms of like that it had me thinking out of the box. But for the world that they're creating, I was like, you know what? That's cool. I like that they are not just going with the...
Doing something a little bit different.
Yeah.
The main hook about this game is you're laying out in one direction and then you score backwards, right?
Yes.
That's like the main hook.
Yeah.
Which confused the crap out of me the very first time I played. However, after getting, a couple plays under my belt and like, okay, I understand what's happening. And then I started diving into it and I'm like, okay, I really like this. It's really fascinating to plan out. It almost kind of has that push your luck element to it. Because especially those initial cards that you play, you really are just hoping that the cards that you need are able to come out, because you're not like, you don't have a ton of cards available that you can kind of choose from. But it's interesting because when you lay a card, you do have, like, this is open information. So you do know what potentially you could get your next turn and how you could, try to get the low numbers so you can really get that card that you need that can play off the card that you previously put. It's interesting. It's a really fun, it seems like a simple mechanism, and it is simple. I mean, it kind of messes with your head, but reality, it is very simple.
It's more thinky than what you are anticipating.
Exactly. It's one of those games that's like easy to kind of understand, but it's like hard to master. And I guess easy to understand is, like, again, it does take you one game to kind of get it, but then once you get it, you're like, oh, I can actually be really thinky about this, and I can be really strategic about this.
Well, and just like the slight tension that you feel in terms of playing a lower number, and then, so like playing 39 to a 59, that is going to allow me to draw the sanctuary cards, right? Because if I play something that's higher than what I previously played, and playing lower lets you pick first, but the higher numbers are going to be the ones that end up like scoring you, and you want to play at the beginning of the game.
Yep.
Because this is not a card I want to play at the end of the game, because then no way am I going to be able to meet this goal. But if I play this, I might have a higher chance of having all those symbols in the corner revealed at the end. But then I start off with a 68, and it's very unlikely that I'll play something higher than a 68 the next time. So then I miss out on losing that sanctuary. And the sanctuary cards are actually like the game changers. They are.
Yes, they because I think one time I played, I didn't really focus too heavily on that, and then by the end I was like, oh, that screwed me. Like, they really mean so much in the game, those sanctuary cards, if you're able to get them.
Yeah, and like at the end, especially at the end, when there is that site push your luck, like if I had this at the beginning and I don't have 5 of these Udu symbols available to me yet, I'm like, hopefully, maybe I've played enough, maybe I have enough maps out on the table that I can draw 5 cards, because then to pick from. And hopefully in those 5 cards, I'll get...
But you did, your 5th
I got one on the 4th one. But if I didn't have that many sanctuary cards, then I'm gonna risk out or lose out on having them available to me at all times.
And I like how those are on the table right from the beginning.
Yes.
So when you flip over your first card, because it could feel like that first card you flip over is lost, right? You could feel that way. But with these cards, first card, you could potentially score on that first card.
Yeah.
Based on those that you have.
Because this one is, you get 1 point for every green card. So
if this was your card,
first
then you would
card,
get,
that would get you at least 1 point. I like the way it messes with my brain. I like being able to try to puzzle it out and like, am I gonna meet the goal? And like the tension and that suspense I feel at the end. And also it plays so fast.
It's so fast.
So it's just so easy to pull out to the table, to table it. Such a satisfying amount of like fun for relatively low like time and effort that is put into it.
So for me personally, coming into stuff that we don't like about this game or could see others not liking, the theme is not super strong at all. I would argue that there's no theme in this game. I mean, I like the world that they build up, and I like...
You have to read that.
You have to read yes, I like the world they build up and like the little touches and like what the symbols mean, but really like they mean nothing. There's really not a lot of theme in this game. Which is fine. It's just something to be aware of, that there's not a ton of theme in this game.
Like, do I feel like I'm actually going out and exploring Alula as I'm laying on my cards? And like, no.
No. It's a fun puzzle, but it's just not very thematic. I felt like a little bit, it was sometimes kind of frustrating when I had an idea of what I want. Like I said, that push your luck element is in it, but there also is the element of, the card you need just simply could not
Isn't coming out. Yeah.
And so that there's nothing really there's no abilities that allow you to churn through that deck at all to try to get what you need.
Oh, yeah.
That is something that even though you start the game with a clear strategy and you're like, okay, I'm definitely going to try to get 5, like I'm going to lay a really high numbered card down that I need, 5 or 6 stones to unlock. I'll definitely get that. It's my first card. I'll definitely get that. There's a possibility that you don't, and that's just simply because of the cards that come out. So that's something that you that does happen.
Yeah, and that's where like the sanctuaries cards really come into play, but you also, it's a lot of like doing this back and forth with yourself, like, oh, do I make that risk? And then you also have to be okay with, yes, the possibility of, maybe I'm just repeating what you said, that you have to be okay with losing.
Yeah. You do.
Like, and not meeting your goals and like understanding that, like, you know what, this card's just gonna score 0.
Because there are some of those times, especially those cards that you put in late in the game, where it's because you have no idea what the cards are going to come out. Towards the end of the game. So it may be your last 3 cards were literally just junk cards that you happen to get that don't match anything
and aren't going to do much for your strategy.
Like there were times where Kim and I would go back and score, and Kim's like 20 points, 15 points, and like 4 times in a row I was like 0, 0, 0, and then towards the end I was like, okay, now I got a crap ton of points. But I mean that does happen. That does occur.
And then also there's that element of maybe the card is out there on the table, but I don't get to pick first, and so someone else
gets the card,
takes it, and you're like, no. Especially at the end of the game when you're like really trying to get the different symbols that you need to complete your quests, and it just like that is painful.
And I think the reason why it's painful is because there's nothing that you can do about it,
yeah.
right? There's not like the game where you have like cards in your hand that you might be able to kind of mitigate that a little bit or do something. Like there's nothing to do about that.
Yeah.
Because this is such a simple game. It's just you get what you get and you don't throw a fit type of thing.
I was thinking of my friend Will, who I played this with when I first played it. I played it with him, and I think it was Kurt. I think the 3 of us played it for the first time together. And afterwards, I was like, do you guys want to try it again? And he was like, no. He was like,
That's gonna be a no?
he said like he's willing to play it again, just not then at that moment. Because for him, like he's a really great chess player, and I think the backwards strategy of this game like really like messed with his brain of not being able to like, wait, I can't, I'm putting this out and I'm not gonna be able to
scoring it last.
Right. And so the backwardsness of it, just like, he was like, that was incredibly more thinky than I expected it to be. And like, it really like he said, it messed with his brain and how to be able to not be able to like strategize the way that he wanted to. And I think that if you're not completely like, if you don't like that backwardness of it, I guess, then maybe this isn't the game for you.
Okay, so coming into our final score here, Kim, I want you to go first. Final thoughts and rating for Faraway?
My final thoughts and ratings, I think I'm coming in at an 8.5, so just under the 9 mark.
Just under,
yeah. The book gives us a lot of theme, and like it tells us about the world, and it gives you the notes, and it has this cute little story with it.
It's such a cute little world
that they built, but like, and the artwork is so cute, but you don't actually like feel that in the gameplay. So I think that's what like makes it not the 9 for me. But the puzzle of the game itself is, I love the puzzle in this game, and I've been playing it on Board Game Arena as well. It's another one that I can like play really quickly on Board Game Arena and play and try to like figure out, is there like just trying to meet that goal, like, and I have to be okay and decide that okay, it's the first like 3 cards that I'm really trying to focus in on.
Yes.
And maybe the cards that I'm laying afterwards are ones that I'm using to help meet my goal. But it's so satisfying when I get a card laid out on the table and I'm like, you know what? I think I can actually score this because of the sanctuary cards that I have. And that is so satisfying because you're like, yes, I'm gonna get more points than I thought I was. And it's just, it's so fun.
So I'm going to be recommending this game too. Our recommendation threshold level is 7. 7 and above is considered a recommendation for us. I'm not coming in quite as high as Kent. I'm coming a little bit lower. I'm coming in at 7.5. The puzzle, again, the first time I was playing it, I was like, I hate this game. But after we finished and we scored, I was like, okay, let's do it again. Now that I understand, let's do it again. And I was like, I really like this. I like how you're building out and you end up scoring backwards. It's so fascinating and interesting to me.
Yes.
I think what's pulling it down, like you mentioned, the theme doesn't really come through. And the luck element in this game is a little bit higher than I think I would personally like. Because there's luck in regards to the cards that come out. Sometimes those last few cards you place kind of seem just like trash cards that aren't going to do anything. I wish I could even like peek at the deck or kind of see a little what was going on. I wish there was an ability that allowed me to peek or go through and shuffle so I knew what was coming out next to give me a little bit of an advantage. If there was an expansion that comes out that does something like that, I totally could see this game rising. But I feel like it's missing a little bit of that.
I was just thinking like if there was like a sanctuary card that you
that allowed you,
or like something that you put out like in the symbols that allowed you to peek and like look and
look at the top 3 cards or something.
That would be,
because then you know what was coming out, so then you could plan a little bit more around that.
And then like even strategize, like would add a little bit of depth of strategy, because if you knew what was coming out, then you could know that, okay, I want to play this lower card because then I get to pick first and whatnot. So
I feel like that little element is the only thing that's kind of missing from me, but I do like this game. 100% would recommend it. If you are interested in this game, definitely check it out. And like we've mentioned, it is available on Board Game Arena, so definitely go check it out if you are interested. Thank you so much for watching this video today. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, it would mean so much if you could do that. It really helps support us in everything that we're doing over here. But until next time, we hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you later.
In order to score 4 points for every moon, I need to have the deer guy. I forget what he's called, sorry. The deer guy and the 2 Udu symbols. And I can look to see if I have that available to me. I have 2 the deer guys, but I do not have the rock guy. They're just guys. The rock guy, the deer guy. Sorry.
People are probably getting more confused.
Sorry.